Hawai'i Pacific University campus at Aloha Tower Marketplace. Here's your host, Hawai'i Pacific University's Vice President and Chief Marketing Communications Officer, Jeffrey Rich.
Aloha, Sharks Nation. We are back for another edition of Sharks Weekly on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. We are broadcasting live from the campus of Hawai'i Pacific University. As always, well, not always, we sometimes go on location, but today we're in the HPU Esports Arena, powered by DSE Hawaii. I am your host, Jeff Rich, and we are talking women's soccer today with HPU head women's soccer coach Adria Borras. And also with us today are two standout student athletes. We have senior Shylah and senior Aburto. I'd like to remind our listeners that we have a new feature. You can text in questions for the players and the coach, or for me, or Bailey, or Paul, or Greg, or whoever you would like to ask a question of. So if you're interested in doing that, the number to text in your question is 808-888-5481. Again, that number is 808-888-5481. We'll be interested to see what comes in, and we'll get to those questions a little bit later in the show. So, hey, before we get going, I want to officially say hello to Mr. Paul Breck, our in-studio producer. Paul, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Always happy to be here with you guys. Always happy to learn about more HPU programs, and got another exciting show upcoming here today with women's soccer in the house.
Excellent. Well, we are good. We are glad to have you here with us today. Also in the studio is HPU Sports Information Director, Miss Bailey Furman. Bailey, what's going on?
Good morning.
A fun, interesting, busy week for you, I imagine.
Yeah, we just had a men's basketball tip-off event last night. That was fun. A lot of sponsors came out, showed their support.
Nice. At the Shark Tank?
No, it was over here right at Aloha Tower.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Well, you are always out and about checking things out. And also, we have back this week Mr. Greg Fishbach. He is back in studio and will be with us shortly to do a look back and a look forward at what's been happening around campus. So let's jump into our conversation on women's soccer. So we're excited. Adria Borras is with us. He is in his fourth season as head coach of HPU's women's soccer team. He is originally from Tarragona, Spain. Did I pronounce that right? Was I close?
Yeah, you actually did.
I did. All right. I love it when I pronounce things correctly, which is not always the case. He brings a wealth of experience, both as a professional player and as a coach here in Hawaii. You know, his approach has been focusing on player development, team dynamics, and community engagement. Really important things to create chemistry and connection to the community. And he played goalkeeper as a professional athlete and was deeply involved in shaping the local soccer scene here through the Ohana Goalkeeper Academy, which he can maybe tell us a little bit about here in a minute. And he was also with the Olympic Development Program. So deep roots in soccer and keeping the sport top of mind and interesting and engaging for all the residents here on Oahu. Outside of soccer, Adria is known for his passion for cooking. So let's jump into it. And before I ask anything else, what's your favorite dish to cook?
Well, depending what ingredients I have. But no, I mean, I love to cook pasta, but of course the Spanish paella, typical dish, it's very good. But this semester I've been trying to come up with there's something called pão de queijo, which is cheese ball breads from Brazil. It's a typical Brazil thing, super common. And yeah, I've been baking it lately. Sometimes I bring it to the team, and my son loves it, so he just keeps saying, you need to make the cheese ball bread. That
it's your passion. Would you have a restaurant if you weren't a soccer coach?
Life is very long. You don't know what you're gonna end up. So it's one of the things I have in the back of my head. Like maybe just a little restaurant. Especially in the U.S.
Wow. Oh, here's the big question for you. So, being from Spain, do you eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night?
We do eat.
You eat late?
Late, yeah. Here, we still do what we can. When we didn't have our son, we still probably have very late dinners. But now that we have our little 2-year-old, I think dinner time got earlier for everybody. And bedtime got earlier for everybody.
Well, that's kind of cultural in Spain, isn't it? People kind of, they go out and they don't eat dinner till 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
They just long, yeah.
And also, the meals are just multi-course.
Especially lunch. Lunch is very big. Dinner might be late, but not so big, because also you're kind of close to go to bed. But also, usually when you are done with dinner, you're kind of done with the day.
Okay.
if you think about it, socially, like not many people do many things after dinner. So that's why you need to have dinner that late so you can maximize the day.
But you're going to bed on a full stomach. I mean, it's
no, that's why it's lighter. It's like for example, in the U.S., lunch is small and dinner is big. We have it opposite. Lunch is very big, so you have time to burn it during the day, and then dinner is kind of not that.
So here they say, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper, and it's the opposite in Spain, right? Or
breakfast is still. I think breakfast is very personal. Some people wake up very hungry, and other people with a coffee they're good to go until 11 a.m. Right? But yeah, the lunch and the dinner it really switches because lunch is very big, and it can be a 2-hour lunch from
Nice,
many courses and all that. But dinner goes kind of a little more efficient since it's late.
Well, I'm sure our listeners are saying, wow, I thought this was a sports show, and you guys are talking about cooking. We cover all topics here at Sharks Weekly, but I think it's time to bring our student athletes into the conversation. So let me formally introduce our in-studio guests here. We have with us Shylah Soon. She is a senior hailing from Ewa Beach here in Hawaii. She is studying to get her master's in business administration and hails from Iolani High School, where she had 5 letters in soccer and was a member of 2-time state championship team. Previously played at Sacramento State, where she was the Rookie of the Year in 2021 and the team captain in 22-23. So welcome to the show. And we also have with us Aburto. She is also a hometown gal from Pearl City here in Hawaii, is a psychology major, and hails from Pearl City High School. Into crafting and all, but I want to welcome you guys to the show. So how's the season going so far?
It's actually going pretty good. We just finished our first travel trip this past week, and when we played Point Loma and Biola, but we're finishing off the season, and we have senior night on Monday, so we're really excited to kind of like finish our careers off in the stadium that we all played at when we were growing up, and we'll finish the season off with the second travel trip. But yeah, super excited.
Very nice. Well, what about you, Isa? What's happening, and how's the season going?
I think the season's going pretty well. I mean, sometimes it's hard to gauge how well it's going because, I mean, our record isn't the best, but I feel that the team has been really close and connected, and sometimes the results might not show it, but I think that we play really well together, and I wish I even had another season with the whole entire group so we could probably get better, because I think it does take a little bit to build a team up, and we only have such a short time. So
yeah. Now, are you both doing fifth years? I know, Shylah, we had mentioned your 5th year, so you benefit from the COVID year. Isa, is it also been 5 years for you in total?
No, it's been 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's...
You're done? You're not going to a 5th year?
I don't think there's... I'm not a COVID kid, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. They came when COVID was done, so they were the first ones that didn't have a COVID year. So they done 4 and done.
The dreaded COVID year.
Those ones, the ones that got the lucky ones, that they graduated during COVID, and then they're getting now the extra year.
Well, everybody just called out, in some of their commentary, the importance of team bonding and building that chemistry, on and off the field. You guys are a close-knit team. You've got a lot of time together on the field. What do you like to do to create more chemistry? Whether it's some social bonding or something that you guys do as a team as part of practice, but how do you bring the players together and really create connection?
Well, I think this year, we did a lot of team bonding and breakfast. So we have a teammate that has an apartment close to campus here, so we kind of all meet there. And a couple weeks ago, we just had breakfast before our game, and so that's just one of the ways that we do team bonding. But it's pretty fun, and we play games. We play Kahoot.
Yeah.
So now,
I see something about spike ball. You guys are doing spike ball, or is no?
When we go to the beach and hang out, we play spike ball. But this year it's been breakfast. So food.
They need food.
Food is important. Food is important. Adria, what do you see as some of the major differences in this year's squad versus last year? Or are they the same? You said you had a lot of seniors graduating, a lot of carryover players.
Well, we've been having big classes coming in because a lot of people have been graduating. So we're kind of graduating 8, 9, this year 12. So there's a decent
12 graduating this year.
This year, because you're getting those 2 classes, right? The 5th and the 4th year. So
man, you better be busy on that recruiting portal and.
Yeah, we're pretty busy looking at everything that we can. But yeah, probably last year, maybe we had a lot of strong personalities they were also a very older team. So maybe sometimes those strong personalities, when they come in, they have they need more time to adjust with each other. And then maybe this year, we kind of really we're looking to we want to have a very cohesive team because we already have 12 or 13 people that will graduate. So it's not that you need to bring a lot of older people, and then the young people, they always come very prepared to kind of fit in right away. It's just the older transfers, sometimes they have a little harder time transitioning to.
What would you guys say is the mindset of this team? Are you a defensive-oriented team? Are you really aggressive on the offensive side? But what's the sort of character of the team this year?
I'd say since we cannot rely on a star, the player that we'll just give it to you and then you're gonna get the job done. It's more about everybody. We all need to defend and we all need to attack because we don't have one person that's going to do the job either way all the time. Especially in soccer, it's not that easy to score the goal. So we don't have that player that kind of you can rely consistently all the time. It's the job from everybody to try to get one goal every day.
And Isa, how does that change, the mentality of the team if you guys know that, you may not have that one sort of superstar? And it's got to be a team effort and everybody gets involved and plays. I mean, how does that change your approach to the game when you really know that you have to involve everybody and everybody has to be working their hardest here?
I think it's interesting because I think that even goes into just a team being together. And at first, I think we struggled a little bit with just our personalities on the team and getting together. But I think we're so honest and upfront with each other and we expect more out of each other that just being on the trip and even right before the trip, it was really easy to find our groove defensively. And I think just expecting more of each other and holding each other accountable because there's so many things that could go wrong. Because as he always says, soccer is a game of mistakes and the other team counters on mistakes, and just minimizing those mistakes and literally just defending with your life is extremely important.
Interesting. Well, hey, we're going to come back in a minute. I want to continue the conversation about the team mentality and team chemistry, but we have to take a quick commercial break. So before we do, I just want to give a big shout out to one of our amazing sponsors who come back to us every year. I am going to... where's my reader, guys? Sorry about that. All right, here we go. Thank you to HPU, who sponsors this show. Today's episode of Sharks Weekly is brought to you by Hawaii Pacific University's Holomua Commitment. HPU puts a private college education in reach by guaranteeing admission and at least a $15,000 scholarship for local high school students with a GPA of 2.75 or better. Guaranteed admission, guaranteed scholarship. Visit hpu.edu/affordable for more information. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Sharks Weekly on the Hawaii Sports Radio Networks, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
And we're back. We are talking women's soccer today. So, guys, we were just starting to talk about, some of the team mentality and team chemistry. What else really stands out about the just this is a mentally tough team? Do you guys have started to face some adversity and you bounce back from it? But tell us more about how you feel the character of the team is coming together and creating the chemistry that really creates a winning program, or at least success on the field.
Yeah, I think mentality plays a big role in being successful. I know that this season we did face some challenges of adversity, but I feel like we were connected all the way through that, and that kind of really shows through our resilience. Our style of play is not only just passing the ball around in possession, but we also defend with our lives, and I feel like you can see that every time in the game. We're definitely physical, and we have that protecting the goal mentality, and I feel like that really helps us and keeps us together and connected, because on defense you always have to stay on the same page at all times. So
yeah, and from a coaching standpoint, Adria, have you found this is you're trying to rotate a lot of players in, having sort of the broad team mentality this year as opposed to a couple of feature players?
Yeah, you try to rotate as much as you can, but that's maybe more on the defensive side. The defensive side, you rely on those guys.
Okay.
Pretty much, and then you kind of keep them unless something is happening into their legs and they need a break. Usually the rotation and the more sub is on defensive, so you can keep that energy, keep going. But when you lock in those four defenders, you kind of keep them as much as you can, because that's your safety net and your trust.
So. Nice. Isa, when you think about so far this year, through the semester and the program that you guys are midway through here, what's really stood out to you? Is there a moment so far this year that just when you think about how things have gone, you come back to that moment and it was a moment of revelation or a learning experience?
It's honestly hard to pick one moment. Just because I feel like there's been so many moments, especially on defense, like that the team has been so together, and it's just so exciting when the team is so close that you want to defend for each other. But especially because I'm a defender, that's why I talk about it so much. But
both are
yeah, we're both defenders. So I don't know. One thing that stands out in my head is probably our preseason Chaminade game. Just like the fight for each other, and even though it was such a close game, just how we came together and the feeling after that game, it was just like, wow, like I want to win with this team. Like I want to be with this team. It's just such a crazy feeling. I don't know how to explain it.
That was a defining moment for you and for the team, you felt?
It's just like, okay, this is going to be a good season. Like I feel like connected to this team really. So yeah.
Did you feel that way also, Shylah?
Yeah, also because Chaminade's like our rival, basically. So getting that win against them was kind of a huge one for us, and definitely a confidence booster. And so
yeah. Now I think I'd asked you this last year, but do you guys have like a Braggart's Cup or something that you pass back and forth between Chaminade and who wins that game each year, or kind of get that hometown rivalry going?
Usually we've been doing very good on our head-to-head against Chaminade, so that's been kind of like. We're more annoyed with Hilo, maybe.
Hilo is the team.
With our head-to-head against Hilo, our head-to-head against Chaminade. Our head-to-head with Chaminade, it's okay.
Is this driven because you're having more success against Chaminade and Hilo's been a little tougher nut to crack?
Yeah, he's been tougher to us. I don't know. Especially in the last few years, Chaminade has been okay, and then with Hilo, we've been having a harder time. So
you guys got to gear up for Hilo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
But it's hard because even though we lost that Hilo game, that was another game. It was like, wow, this team can play. Like this team defends together. It was a 2-1 game, and compared to our game with them last season, it was just such a huge difference. And I was like, wow, this team is getting better. It's good. We play well together, and yeah.
You can tell that they have good feelings playing. Now, sometimes we fall a little short, and maybe the result doesn't go your side. That happened in a few games, but definitely the energy and the chemistry amongst them, it's
they say in sports sometimes you need to lose to get better, and you find yourself in those losses and through adversity. I think that's true of everything in life. Bailey, have you had much of a chance to get out and watch, and what are your observations so far?
Your guys' Chaminade game was intense. Even afterwards, it was really intense, but I loved watching it. You guys are so, like Coach says, you guys work together, and it's unreal. And just seeing your guys' mentality on the field, and then getting to talk to you guys afterwards, you guys are very pleasurable. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are nice to talk to, and you guys are great.
Sounds like there's a nice even keel tone to the team. That's always good. I think one of the important things in the collegiate experience are service activities for the teams. They create bonding opportunities. They create community engagement. Tell us a little bit about what sort of team bonding and service activities you guys have done this year.
We do a lot of community service as a team. I think that's also why we are so connected together, serving for a greater purpose. But we did work at a Lo'i patch where we were able to pull kalo. And that's just a great way to be connected to Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian cultural practices. Especially for those who are not from here, it's definitely a good way for them to kind of see what life was like back in the day and like how some Hawaiians live in today's society. But then we also do like a beach cleanup in Waimanalo, which is more like fun, and like everybody loves the beach, so it's kind of a good way for us to be together and serve a greater purpose for stuff that everybody likes to do on their times off.
The beach cleanup, that's always a great activity here, and plenty of beautiful beaches to clean up. Isa, when you think about playing here at home, and I think you guys are both hometown girls, and how special is it? So I'm going to ask both of you, maybe Isa, you can go first. How has that created a better opportunity for you to play in front of the hometown? Does it elevate your game? Do you get more excited when you know people are in the stands? I know for me, when my kids played sports, whenever I went to a game, they played worse. I think I made them nervous. So, when I wouldn't go, I would hear stories of, my son scored, 3 goals in a hockey game or threw a touchdown pass or something. And then I would go, and I think I freaked him out. So what's the experience like when you play at the college level in front of family and friends? And does it get you up to the game? Does it, make you a little more nervous? But what's that like?
It's weird kind of growing up here because I think soccer is one of like the biggest sports in Hawaii, and I don't know, I guess when you're growing up it's not really that big of a deal or anything, and everyone's always at the soccer field. We're there from like 8 a.m. to whenever the field closes, but it's just so nice playing in front of my family, and honestly I feel like their support, and even though we might not have the most fans out there, just playing in front of my family and playing somewhere where we grew up playing, and that stadium was somewhere that nobody ever played unless it was a championship game. So just to be playing in such a nice field, in such a nice place, it's nice, and I really do enjoy it. Yeah.
And what about you, Shylah? Is that a special experience for you?
Yeah, I think it's like kind of bittersweet. Growing up, we, like Issa said, we don't really play in the stadium as much unless it's like for a championship game in a tournament. But I think in high school it was kind of like I was always there playing, so coming back for a college game is also nice. And then I was able to play against my previous school as my first home game for HPU against Sac State, so that was also really nice. And I also like playing in front of my family as well, and seeing all my little cousins watch me play in a place that I started playing. So
nice. Now, did Sac State come out to Hawaii? Was that a home game, or did you go out to Sacramento play?
No, they came here. That was my first game as a HPU Shark, and I played Sacramento State in the stadium.
All right, so the big question is, did you escort your old teammates around the island, or did you stay clear of them and say, I'm an HPU Shark now?
No, I'm an HPU Shark. Fins up, fins up.
Fins up, I love it. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity, though, and but actually, I just want to ask point blank: do you play better or worse when you feel the pressure of having a big family crowd maybe at a game? Do you feel like it makes you play better or worse?
I think it makes me play better. I wanna show them that I'm happy that they're here, and I want to prove to them that I'm up here and it's because of them and their support. And even just playing in front of the ball girls, because we do coach, a bunch of us coach, and playing in front of the ball girls is like, we want to show them, we want to be their inspiration and people they look up to. And we used to be ball girls too for like UH and stuff, and so it's just nice.
Wow. Well, Coach has given a big thumbs up when I asked that question, so he must see a huge difference in your motivation and play. Not that you're not motivated.
plays very good when family is in front. Shylah is always afraid of her parents, so she's always a little intimidated.
So your game suffers a little bit when.
Sometimes
yeah, it doesn't suffer. But my parents are just hard on me about sports and stuff, but they love seeing me play, so yeah. I see them smile.
What I feel that happens with them is when they're in the youth, they play so many games in YPO. So it's like not that special because they play like 100 games a year. But in college now we play, 15 games? And then 7 are at home. So they get 7 days out of the year. So now I think that would capitalize more on them, like, oh, this is special because it's just 7 days. With the youth, doesn't matter if they're 14 years old, they still play every weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So probably it's not that special anymore. But at this moment, when you start minimizing the amount of games that you can see, now people find those days more special.
Yeah, especially when you're at the tail end of your collegiate career. What's next for soccer for you guys? Are you going to, continue to coach? But hold that thought, because I'm getting the note that we got to take a quick commercial break. So we will be right back. You're listening to Sharks Weekly. I'm your host, Jeff Rich, and we will be right back.
You're listening to Sharks Weekly on the Hawaii Sports Radio Networks, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
And we're back here for Sharks Weekly, broadcasting from the Esports Arena, powered by DSE Hawaii. I'm your host, Jeff Rich, and we are talking soccer. So, hey, real quick shout out here to another one of our amazing sponsors. Thank you very much to Island Insurance for sponsoring Sharks Weekly. Island Insurance, local experts protecting local people. And thank you for your support. So we were just talking about, how bittersweet it can be to play in front of hometown friends and family. And, you guys have senior night upcoming here on October 28th. And I'm sure that'll be at the Waipahu Soccer Stadium. I'm sure it's going to be a momentous event. If you've got, you said 12 graduating seniors. We'll talk recruiting in a minute. But how's it going to feel? Is that going to be a really special night on the 28th?
Yeah, it's going to be really special. There's a lot of us graduating, so I think being able to graduate and walk and play senior night with all the people that I grew up with is going to be special for us.
It's going to be well. We urge all of our listeners to come out and support the team. Again, that's October 28th. I think it brings up the topic of recruiting. I mean, we touched on it earlier, but you got a lot of slots to fill.
That's right, Coach. I just have a question. You're from Spain, so we're going to see some players from Spain. You could maybe make some paella.
Good mixture of player, huh?
Some octopus, right? You call it the papu. How do you say it? I don't want to.
Pulpo.
Right. You can make some octopus. You can make some shrimp.
Yep.
Right. You could get some players coming over.
And then when they have the breakfast right over there, then just the player can just do it himself. They don't even need me anymore.
Are we going to see some players? How about from Madrid, or is it going to be from Barcelona?
Whoever has a little bit of income, because it's very expensive, Hawaii and HPU.
Right.
So that's why we're having a hard time actually with, like, I would love to have more international players, but it's kind of hard for us because it's very expensive. And also the Hawaii gals and the American gals are very good competitively to European women. Maybe
really?
maybe in the men's side, maybe in the men's side not so much. That's where you get so many more men on the international side, but the women's side are pretty good.
So women's sports across the U.S. is just, out of control. It's a new age for women playing basketball, soccer. It's just a wonderful day for women that are into sports and want to be parts of successful programs. So, but you're saying that women's soccer in Europe is not caught fire like it has here in the States.
Well, it has been cutting fire in the last few years, so they've been getting better. But like 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I grew up, not one lady would play one sport.
Really?
Now they're coming up, so the entire world has been catching up, I would say, with American women's soccer.
That's true, and if we just think back to some of the recent Olympics and the success that those teams have had, was the women's Olympic team a role model and an inspiration for you guys as players growing up as young women?
Yeah, of course it was, and it's just crazy seeing all the women that we looked up to actually retiring, like Alex Morgan, and it's just crazy. Like, wow, we grew up with them, and now they're retiring. We're ending our college career, and I even think it's crazy to see all the girls that are like 15 years old getting picked up by the pro pro teams in the mainland. So I think it's super cool. Yeah.
It's an amazing experience. What's your sense of how soccer has really caught fire here? Women's sports in general, Shylah.
Yeah, I think women's sports is actually elevating a little bit more, and I'm glad to see that the world is kind of catching up with it. I know there's more opportunities for girls. Like, here we have a Hawaii national team for the youth players, so that's like their first ever experience where they can go and play internationally together. So I think that's just a great start for Hawaii itself.
Very nice. So who, if you had to pick a role model and an inspiration in soccer, who would you each pick?
For me, well, I guess Issa, she's also a defender, but I really looked up to Julie Ertz, who was also known as Julie Johnson before she became Julie Ertz. But she was a defender. She was like the most aggressive person on the field, and she kind of just replicated kind of what I like to showcase.
Nice. Issa, what do you think?
That was also one of my favorite role models. And it's hard to say Alex Morgan because she wasn't a defender, but I looked, I'm sure as everyone else, we looked up to her just because of the role she played in really pushing women's sports to be what it is now. So, yeah.
Did you have a role model, when you were coming up through the ranks, somebody that really gave you motivation and inspiration, Adria?
Yeah, I was a goalkeeper, so I was looking up for a couple goalkeepers at the moment, one Spanish and one Italian, always looking more for the Southern European, not so tall.
Who's better, the Italians or the Spanish goalkeepers?
Oof, both are pretty good, actually. I would say some of the best cultures. They're better than the English goalkeepers, let's say.
Of course, yeah.
If you could, your goalie has to be German, Spanish, or Italian. Then you're good.
If you could change one rule or add one rule to soccer, what would it be for all of you? I mean, is there anything?
I would make the goals bigger.
The
actual goal has to be bigger, especially on the men's side, because the size of the goal hasn't changed ever, so it hasn't changed in 80 years. But the goal is just got taller and taller and taller and more athletic and more athletic. Right. And before the goalie would be 5'9", now the goalie can be a 6'7", and it moves as agile as you and me.
Right.
And then it's getting harder and harder and harder to score goals. That's why you used to see so many 1-0s, 2-1s, and 50 years ago, the score of soccer was 5-3.
So is it more fun when you see more, obviously, when you have more scores? I mean,
that's the fun of the sport, scoring a goal.
Right.
So more
if the scores are like 5-4 or
5-4 is much more fun for a 1-0 as a spectator. As a coach, it might be a nightmare. You're like, oh my God, we got scored 4 times, all of these and all that. So, but for the spectator, it's always better goals. Yeah. For the coaches, it's better no goals. Right. So that's where you've been moving transition to a very coaching
So were there
sport.
more scoring like 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, there was. So what were the scores? They were like 3-2, 4-5.
You would have more.
So it has dramatically dropped.
It has dropped, especially also people have got better. Athletes are better.
Yeah, so maybe we should use this opportunity
tactics are better.
To widen. We got to make the goals wider,
just a little bigger,
and taller.
Do you foresee that happening? I mean, would that ever be a change that soccer would make? We're going to start a movement.
Let's start the movement.
I mean, it's an expensive change.
Yeah.
I think other people have talked to just bring down one player. Instead of playing 11v11, you play 10v10. Mm-hmm. And now it's going to change dramatically how people have to defend. That's a much easier transition financially because you're just pulling a player. Yeah. Changing the size of the goals, it's a kind of a big financial commitment. But maybe they can just do it at the highest professional level, and everybody else can have the normal. It's a professional level that you have goalies that are 6'5".
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of getting harder and harder. And now all the defenders are like tall, strong, fast, 6'2". Like everybody's a giant.
Yeah. So as a goalkeeper, what do you think is what's the best tip you would give a goaltender to be successful? Is it anticipation? What makes
reliable
you special? Reliable?
Okay. You're the last hope. You're the last, you're the last line of fire. You have to be reliable. Yep. Like people have to rely. If people can rely on you, people like you.
So, all right. So,
job.
During a penalty or a kick, where you've got a kick on goal, do you have to guess? Like, are some goalkeepers so good that they can wait and see, where the ball's going or the direction that the player's kicking, or do you always have to guess aside?
It just depends how far away you're shooting from me. Okay. If you're shooting from close, I will have to guess. But if you're shooting from enough time where I can see where the ball goes, I shouldn't have to guess. But many times when we're close enough, or like the penalty, you kind of have to guess.
You have to
you're
guess.
In a 10, 12, 13,
And it's got to be an embarrassing moment when you guess wrong. And you're on one side and the easy shot
the penalty is the easiest thing for a goalie because no one expects you to do it.
Okay.
Everybody expects the player to score. So since you have nothing to lose, it's your best moment because if you get scored, nobody blames the goalie.
Yeah.
And if you make the save, everybody is for the goalie.
Is that the most stressful position in soccer, you think? To be the goalkeeper?
People make their jobs stressful or not. Personalities make all jobs can be stressful or not. It just depends which personality do you have. You're making your job stressful or not. Okay. Because at the end you have to win if you score a goal. Right. So the forward also has a very stressful job.
Yeah. Now, do you guys as players, do you like if you get to a tie game at the end and you get to, have the tiebreakers, or is that, stressful? What do you prefer as players? Everybody would prefer to have a blowout win, I imagine. But that being said, what level of excitement happens when you've got, a shootout or something happening?
When we do have a shootout, it's actually pretty nerve-wracking because if you mess up once, then everybody else has that extra pressure added onto them. So I don't really know if being the first shooter or the fifth shooter really makes a difference, but either way, it's all stressful.
Okay. What do you think, Ysabel?
Sorry. Yeah, it is pretty stressful. We've had a bunch of shootouts before in the past, and it's just, I always like to put myself in the middle because it's okay, there's a couple of people in front of me and a couple of people after me. I just know I have to make my own,
Yep.
And obviously, if you're the one missing, it's never good because that would make the difference.
Yep.
That one goal would make the difference if you missed it and everyone else on the other team.
Is the expectation that you have to score?
A PK in soccer is like a free throw of basketball.
Right.
You have to.
You have to score.
You have to do it. And if you miss the free throw, life is not ending.
Right.
But you're supposed to make the free throw.
Right.
And you should have 80%.
So the goalie really has a lot of pressure to stop.
No, it has no pressure.
No pressure?
Because the other is supposed to score.
Oh, okay.
So
they're kind of hey, if I stop one, this is great.
I'm the hero.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm the hero.
Do you have a strategy for the players that you put in order to kick those in the shootout so that you maybe have your strongest coming out of the gate?
We don't get that many shootouts at this college level anymore. I think in the youth and with tournaments that happens a lot. But you kind of just go with confident and in the moment, whoever you might have one or two players that are like, okay, for sure those two are going to shoot, but you kind of need to come with 5 or 6 players when there's a shootout. So it's more about
why does a shootout happen?
Who's feeling it?
Why does a shootout happen? Is that usually because
you need a winner?
So it's 0-0.
0-0. There's a tie, then you kind of need a winner in a final or in a bracket playoff
Right.
Yeah, there's got to be a winner.
Right, you
always,
can't
right? Winners and losers. All right, I'm getting the word that we got to do another quick commercial break. So another quick shout out to one of our amazing sponsors, Caswell Orthodontics and Kimmy Caswell. Thank you for your support of Sharks Weekly. Caswell Orthodontics, we change your smile, we change the world. You're listening to Sharks Weekly, and we will be right back.
You're listening to Sharks Weekly on the Hawaii Sports Radio Networks, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
And we are back broadcasting live from Hawaii Pacific University's campus at Aloha Tower Marketplace from the eSports Arena powered by DSE Hawaii. All right, so we're hitting our last segment here of the morning. So, Greg, I want to bring you in and give us a sense of what's happened over the last week with HPU Sports and what's happening in the coming week.
Okay, so October 17, women's soccer fought hard against Point Loma, but fell short 2-0. Despite the result, the Sharks showcased their resilience with 8 saves from their goalkeeper and strong defensive play. Men's soccer, Kevin Haar had 4 key saves to keep HBU in the game. October 18, women's volleyball faced Chaminade in a highly competitive match. The team played with heart and intensity, stealing the first set, but ultimately fell to the Silver Swords 1-3. October 19, we had women's soccer played Biola University, giving another strong effort in a challenging match 0-4, but men's soccer faced Biola University as well, showing their fighting spirit throughout the game. 0-2. October 21, HBU volleyball continued their season with another inter-island battle against UH Hilo, taking a set off the Vulcans, but coming up short 1-3.
Wow, that was a busy week.
I know, and look ahead. So we have October 24th to the 28th. The 24th, women's volleyball faces Point Loma at 7 p.m. in Manoa. October 25th, the HBU Sharks Shootout, that's men and women's golf, continues in Kona for men and Maunalani North for women. October 26th, we have men and women's cross country competes in the Pacific West Conference Championships at Great Park, Irvine, California, starting at 7 a.m. Women's volleyball plays Vanguard University at 3 p.m. in Manoa. And October 28, HBU women's basketball has their first game of the season away against Cal State Bakersfield, and soccer senior night, which we mentioned earlier, against Fresno Pacific University.
That is another busy upcoming week. And also, let's not forget, October 28th, senior night for you guys. So everybody come out in force and watch HPU women's soccer on senior night, October 28th. Paul, you are a man about town covering all things sports for the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. You got a busy week coming up?
Yeah, I suppose so. Men's and women's basketball really starting to get into full swing here. You got some exhibitions upcoming for them in the next couple of weeks. I know that I'll be over on Hilo this weekend, so I'll get a nice little look at those darn Vulcans that I know we have an issue with here with the soccer team, plenty of fun stuff coming up. You can keep an eye on Hawaii Sports Radio Network's social channels at High Sports Radio. That's HI Sports Radio for all the updates and things you need to see with that.
Excellent. And just a reminder, you can obviously listen to us live on 95.1 FM or AM 760. You can also catch the recorded show on YouTube on Hawaii Sports Radio Network's YouTube channel under the Sharks Weekly playlist. So, Paul, did anything come into our Ask a Question via text option here.
We got some stuff where very specifically Shylah by name was requested.
Shylah, are you ready
to answer this one?
I guess so.
And it is pretty important. So Shylah, how does it feel to be Lolo's hero?
I didn't know that I was Lolo's hero, but I guess it feels pretty good, honestly.
Can we know at all who Lolo is?
Tell us a little about Lolo.
Shout out to Lolo. She's we love her. She's on our team. She's actually one of our goalies, and she just came in this year, but she's definitely made a big impact on our team, and she keeps us all together, and it's just a great player overall and a great person.
Shout out Lolo for sure.
Lolo, thank you.
And apparently shout out you for being Lolo's hero. And then we do have a secondary question, which is a little more serious, where kind of the challenges of training without home fields, right? Kind of the issues of being an athlete here in Hawaii, where the space is a little bit difficult, right? How do you guys go about managing that? Is it difficult at times?
I mean, yeah, it could be difficult, but I mean, people always talk about home field advantage. So when we play other people on our area versus theirs, we see the difference, and they play different. And sometimes it could be at their advantage, but I kind of like the change that we've had at YPO.
I would say the transition has been very good from Loa Campus to YPO. We all loved Loa Campus. It's a great place, and we were there for many years. But the surface where we play, it's better in YPO. Okay. So at the end, players, they care about surface. And then we got to move up into those fields, which are actually close to the stadium. So you're training very close to your game venue. And another advantage, we get to train at the same time with the men. And I like that. I think both teams can create more chemistry. People do better when there's more people training around. Like the men do better because they're there. Everybody does better. Natural competition. So I think the transition has been very good, actually, from how hard this transition could be and not having facilities and losing your facilities and all that.
Yeah,
we kind of moved pretty well, I would say.
Now, do you practice at Sand Island?
No, we practice at YPO
too. Okay, so games and practice.
Games and everything so far is there. When the Sand Island place can be ready, then we're gonna hopefully move there for training. But for now, we just find that middle ground transition of let's train in YPO. The surface is good. The size of the field is the same as the game venue. Yeah. So there's a lot of good things that have come with that.
So do you guys feel you haven't yet felt like it's your home field yet because it's new, or is there, do we need to get more HPU branding out there? I mean, what do we do to make you guys feel, more of a sense of being at home?
I mean, we're from here, so this is our home, and we're very comfortable playing on the fields, especially the stadium. I mean, like he said, it's about surface, really.
Okay.
Because soccer field regulations, it's like a search and bracket, so it's not necessarily all the same size, but the surface plays a really big factor in our one touches, our long balls, how we play with one another. So I think that's the most important thing. So honestly, just that we're at the stadium is a good thing for us.
Okay.
Wait, so what does that mean? The surface is better, Coach. What does that mean?
The grass quality, the flatness of the field.
Okay.
The amount of water that rains in Kaneohe compared to the amount of water that rains in Waipahu changes, especially when you train at 7:30 a.m. Sometimes you would show up in Kaneohe come on. You would go through the H3 tunnel please, stop the rain, stop the rain.
Right.
Because if not, you know. And too now here, water. You're showing up to YPO that it rains 3 days in the year. So, you don't deal with that thing. And then the surface, especially flatness, especially their bodies suffer a lot in their hips, or their bodies, they run so much. If the surface is not fully flat.
So that's really important at soccer, I would imagine. Kind of like tennis could be, grass courts, right? Are really important.
Yeah, it's one of the cool things about living here on Oahu is the microclimates, though, all around the island. Yeah. And you go from rainforest to arid desert to plush beach to, it's just, in short spaces you're changing.
A few miles could mean a lot.
It could mean a lot in the playing conditions, for sure. Well, that's great that you guys are feeling good about the quality of the field and how it's affecting your play. I imagine, too, that does a lot to minimize injuries and things when you don't have, soggy fields or uneven fields.
Or coaches practice, Sometimes you have a practice in mind and then you show up to the field I cannot. I'm going to do half of the things that I had in my mind with this field. And now you have a very good projection of how the field is going to be and what you can do with it.
Yeah. You know, and I was going to ask you, Coach. I think it was Lolo as a goalkeeper. Also, what's your give an on the air piece of advice to your goalkeeper as a goalkeeper
One
yourself?
goalkeeper to another.
One goalkeeper to another. Best advice.
To Lolo or
Yes,
to the
to
goalkeeper?
Lolo specifically. We're going to give her a shout out here again.
Just count to 3 before to talk.
Oh, all right. Count to 3. Okay, Lolo.
3.
There you go.
We love her. We love her. That.
Yeah, we love her. We love her.
Well, I hear the music, and that means that we're running out of time. But I want to thank HPU Women's Soccer for being our on-air guest today, and we wish you guys continued success. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts and all with us. And I'm sure we will have you back again here shortly. But you've been listening to Sharks Weekly. Big shout out to Greg and to Bailey for your assistance with the show this week. We're looking forward to catching you next week on Sharks Weekly. I'm your host, Jeff Rich. Have a wonderful week.